Sir, it is my esteemed pleasure to introduce Mr. and Mrs. Donald Trump.
It's the Donald! Oh, my God!
Mr. and Mrs. Trump, it's an honor to meet you.
Ron said his client had a rich uncle, but Donald Trump.
I like keeping a low profile.
Breaking news. Black man discovers that Donald Trump is not the most racist president of all time and may be the least. Who is the most racist president of all time? Who are the most racist politicians out there? All of those questions are answered and more on Project Mockingbird Media Group. Hello, world. Welcome to Project Mockingbird Media Group, where we expose all the lies and misinformation of legacy media. I am your host, Idol Vainglorious. America, we need to talk about racism. Now, racism is a real thing, but we've abused it. We engage in what I call cry wolf racism. Now, we all heard The Boy That Cried Wolf, but if you haven't, it was a boy who kept constantly saying a wolf was on the rise, and then it wasn't, because he was lying. But then when a real wolf came along, nobody believed him. And that's what happens with racism. You keep calling people who aren't racist, and you let the real racists get away. Not I, said the cat. Well, how has that affected us? When Thanos snapped his finger, half of the world's population went away. But in reality, when Thanos snapped his finger, we separated in two separate realities. One reality where people see Donald Trump the way I see him, as that celebrity apprentice, you're fired guy. But the other half of the world see Donald Trump as some Hitlerian figure. Me personally, I see Donald Trump as a victim of all of the black people in politics that betrayed him. Because before they were long and close friends. But see, I have receipts. And I like to point out each and every one of those backstabbers and shed light on the real races in politics. But first, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Charlottesville. There's good people on both sides, he says. Now, a lot of people have taken that and just ran with it. But guess what? I got the receipts. Oh, you don't believe me?
The fact-checking site Snopes finally debunking Democrats' claims that then-President Trump in 2017 called neo-Nazis and white nationalists, quote, very fine people. This was after a deadly protest in Charlottesville, Virginia, over the removal of a Confederate statue. Snopes now labeling that claim false, writing, quote, in a news conference after the rally, Trump did say there were very fine people on both sides, referring to the protesters and the counter-protesters. He said in the same statement he wasn't talking about neo-Nazis and white nationalists, who he said should be condemned totally.
But now we know. I have to say, I watched the context years ago, 7 years ago, so I knew that this was about protesters and counter-protesters as it related to statues of Robert E. Lee or statues of George Washington. That was the conversation that was happening then. But that is very interesting because now he has a very reputable fact-checking site that says it's false. That is a false claim, a lie, if he then goes and says that during the debate.
Oh, did you believe all the lies that legacy media told you, huh? Who was it? MSDNC, Clown News Network, Always broadcasting crap, Was it constantly broadcasting? Shut your mouth. We started out strong. I want to also start pointing out all of his friends that betrayed him. Let's start with the race hustler, Messy Jesse Jackson.
I do want to express thanks to you, Donald Trump, for being with us tonight. We need your building skills, your gusto, your rent package for people on Wall Street who represent diversity. And we thank you for coming tonight. Let's give Donald Trump a big hand. A big hand for Donald Trump.
Glowing praise from the Reverend. You know, I wonder how he feels now.
What do you think of Trump?
His policies have been so hurtful. He is a very rich man manipulating the unfounded fears of poor whites into a ironic and contradictory position.
My have time changes people. Look, he's not the only one that betrayed Donald Trump. What about Al Sharpton, that race hustler? Let's see how he feels now while I intermix proof that they were very close.
I think that we cover it by the record. I think that we should not bite the bait of having to prove Donald Trump is a racist. I think clearly I've known Donald Trump. I've marched on him, and then he tried to be friendly. He's come to my convention. I believe he's a racist, but that's not what we have to prove. Just look at his record. He has always race baited. He started with the Central Park five innocent young men in New York. He called for the death penalty. Well, has he ever called for the death penalty for anybody else? His political career started by saying a black man was not a real American.
That's a 35-year relationship that he's throwing down the drain. I wonder why. Is it that MSDNC is paying him well? I mean, all those people get paid very well to spread all the lies and propaganda of legacy media. I mean, you should see how much some of these people are getting paid. I mean, but they don't have the views anymore. They're actually going bankrupt. You should check into that. Also, CNN is not renewing a lot of these people's contracts because they're liars and they're losing their grip on you guys. Anywho, who's next? Oprah was very close with Donald Trump. I'll show you just how close she was as she defecates upon his name.
Now, we all know what we're voting against. So I want to end by reminding you about a few things that we're voting for. We are voting to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States. We are voting for values. We are voting for values and integrity. We are voting for the right to choose what happens to our own bodies. We are voting to save ourselves from this precipice of danger where we now stand. All the anxiety and the fear you're feeling that because you sense the danger.
You know, I don't like to spread rumors, but if you thought that Oprah was just doing this for Kamala out of the goodness of her heart because she truly felt like she was going to win, because she truly felt like she was the one. What if I told you that Oprah got $1.5 million, you know, a drop in the bucket for her to do that for her? Again, everyone who supported her got paid, okay? That's how it works. None of these people have real opinions. None of these people are real. They're all fake people that like you one day, but then when they see the opportunity to put that knife right in your back, they will do it. And it doesn't even take a lot of money because, I mean, how much is $1.5 million to Oprah?
Oprah Winfrey was paid to endorse Kamala Harris, a report has revealed. The Washington Examiner found the Harris campaign paid $1.5 million to Miss Winfrey's Harpo Productions on October 15. The payment came after the talk show star hosted a town hall for Harris in September. Miss Winfrey also appeared at the final Democrat rally a day before the US election.
But Oprah ain't the only one. Jesse and Al ain't the only ones. Let's talk about the ladies on The View. My goodness. I remember Whoopi Goldberg was quite tight with Donald Trump. but let's see her cap and act like she wasn't.
You got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
So here's the actual appearance. Watch.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. But does he really want to add president of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to. Please, let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump. We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy.
We love it.
So Barbara was her usual polite self, as she was with every guest. But did I look warm and fuzzy? Was that a warm and fuzzy welcome from her?
You could get a little glimpse of how everyone on The View was treating him back then, but let's zoom in on Whoopi. Let's see what she didn't show you.
So he was the one who left this.
You're right.
Who left this.
Excuse me, I'm a Republican. George Bush, he gave us Obama. I'm not a big fan of George Bush. I'm not a fan of Obamacare.
Let's not talk about who gave who,
I know,
baby,
Whoopi.
because
I don't think I'm going to get Whoopi's vote.
If you did, let me just ask, if you did beat...
And she likes me. She even put me in her movies.
I was just going to say.
She put me in her movies, right? A long time ago. So how much did I charge? Nothing.
Like they say in the
It was a freebie.
If you did beat Obama, though.
Exactly. My goodness. You don't put a man in your movie if you don't have some type of feelings for him that aren't negative, by the way. But let's talk about how not racist Donald Trump is. Would a racist person, I don't know, pardon 2 rappers? I'm not talking about Eminem and Lil Dicky either. Let's find out.
Now, former President Trump handing out more than 100 pardons during his final hours in power.
And some of those pardons went to people from right here in South Florida. Local 10's Sanella Sabovic is live with reaction. Sanella.
Nicole and Calvin, several people on that local list, including prominent rapper Lil Wayne, who has a home here in South Florida. I had a chance to speak to his attorney not that long ago. He tells me Wayne is relieved and grateful to former President Trump.
That I'd change my life tonight if Donald Trump reduced my sentence. He not only reduced his sentence, he pardoned you.
All that good shit.
That's hard. That's hard. It's never been done before.
He Gemini game. He a Gemini like me. His birthday 3 days after my shit.
Right.
And I boy like he be vibing out here too.
Right.
Now I wonder if Barack Hussein Obama and Joseph Brandon Biden have done the same thing. Chris Breezy, our outside correspondent, what do you think? How many people did Barack Obama and Joe Biden pardon? 0. Big fat goose egg. That's right. None. I wonder how many Joe Biden will on the way out. There's a few. You can get Pee Wee Long way out, but I bet he won't. If Donald Trump was racist, would he have a black girlfriend back in the Dizzy? Let's find out.
She's the beautiful biracial model who dated President Trump for 2 years. Cara Young's mother is black, her father is white. Now she's speaking out in the wake of Trump's controversial response to the neo-Nazi rally in Charlottesville. I didn't hide my race from Donald Trump. He knew, Cara told today's New York Times. He would say, "You're like Derek Jeter," and I would say, "Exactly." I never heard him say a disparaging comment towards any race of people. Last year, Cara, now a mom, told the TV show Chasing News that Trump was not a racist.
I would never go out with anybody that was a racist. Of course not. That's crazy.
Now I've cut out this section of the video to highlight the real racism politics. Do you remember when Joe Biden was on the Breakfast Club and he said this?
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Correction. You ain't black if you voted for Kamala Harris. How about that? I'm not done with the Breakfast Club just yet. Let's showcase Hillary Clinton and her visit on the Breakfast Club and watch her pander to the black community. Disgusting.
No more questions? They said no, she has to go.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot
sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you getting information right now? Hot sauce. Hot sauce in my bag, Swag?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yes.
Now listen, I
yes.
just want you to know, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people.
Okay. Is it working?
Yeah, did that get her any votes? You know, I wonder if she won. Let's see. Did she? No, she didn't. And listen, Charlamagne, you're a sellout of the highest order. I mean, the highest order, the Breakfast Club, entire sellouts. I mean, they might as well be an extension of the DNC. But you know, the Clintons, they have a long, sordid history with racism. Let's bring up Robert Byrd. Have you ever heard of this man? Oh, you haven't. Well, there's a connection there with Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and Joseph Biden. Let's find out a little bit about Robert Byrd.
In the history of the United States Congress, no one served longer than West Virginia Senator Robert Byrd.
And I've loved every precious minute of it.
He was legendary for speaking his mind.
Enough! Enough!
And beloved by his impoverished state for bringing home billions in tax dollars.
I know what the people of West Virginia want. I know what they need.
Byrd was elected to the Senate in 1958 after serving 3 years in the U.S. House.
Robert C. Byrd's roots were very humble, and I think that drove him in his life.
He served twice as Senate Majority Leader. Byrd said he discovered his leadership skills in an unexpected place as a young member of the Ku Klux Klan.
Oh, wow. The KKK, you say. You know, that's not fair. Maybe he hid that from everybody. Maybe Bill Clinton didn't know.
There are a lot of people who wrote these eulogies for Senator Byrd in the newspapers, and I read a bunch of them, and they mentioned that he once had a fleeting association with the Ku Klux Klan, and what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. He was a country boy from the hills and hollows of West Virginia. He was trying to get elected. And maybe he did something he shouldn't have done, and he spent the rest of his life making it up.
Oh, really? That Arkansas boy knew. And you know, Arkansas isn't not known for racism, but it is what it is. I wonder if somebody else in politics who drafted a crime bill that targeted the black community in some ways, disproportionately, I might add, had something to say about this man. Maybe at his funeral. Perhaps he delivered a eulogy and said something illuminating.
As also noted, Robert C. Byrd was a parliamentary library, a keeper of the institution of the Senate, and he was the institution itself. But to me, and many people here today, like guys I see, Bill Bradley and Jim Sasser, who've long left the Senate for greener pastures, and I hope better remuneration. We used to kid about that too, but for a lot of us, he was a friend, and he was a mentor, and he was a guide.
So we have a former KKK member connected in politics, of course, to prominent politicians. I mean, 2 of them were president. 1 of them was running for president. My goodness. In conclusion, there are real racists in politics. And if I had to guess, Donald Trump is the least racist out of the bunch. You might not believe that. You might not believe this. You might see this and still reside in that reality where Donald Trump is a part of the Third Reich. But guess what? I live in the real world, and the majority of the country either doesn't believe it or it doesn't care. This has been Project Mockingbird Media, and I've been your host, Idol Vainglorious. Have a glorious day.